The train conductor asked for my ticket twice, then leaned toward me and whispered, "Don't get off at the next stop." I laughed nervously because I thought he was joking. He wasn't. I wish I had listened, because one station later, I discovered my own family had been hiding something from me. I was traveling home after 3 exhausting weeks away for work. My older brother, Daniel, had called me that morning and told me to come straight to my parents' house. He said there was an emergency, but he wouldn't explain anything over the phone. I remember staring out the train window, trying to convince myself everything was fine. Then the conductor came through again. "Ticket, please." I handed it over. He looked at it, looked at me, and asked, "You're getting off at Oak Ridge?" "Yes," I said. He hesitated. "Are you sure?" Before I could answer, he lowered his voice. "Don't get off there." My stomach tightened. "Why?" He simply shook his head and walked away. If stories like this keep you watching, subscribe to Family Betrayal, because what happened next still feels impossible to me. And just so you know, the faces, photos, background footage, and visual scenes in this video are only used to help imagine the story. I should have trusted that warning. Instead, I convinced myself the conductor had made a mistake. When Oak Ridge appeared outside the window, I stood up. And that was the moment everything began falling apart. The train doors opened at Oak Ridge, and I stepped onto the platform. For a few seconds, nothing seemed wrong. Then I noticed something that made my heart drop. My brother Daniel was standing across the street. He wasn't supposed to be there. I called him. He answered immediately. "Where are you?" he asked. "Oak Ridge." There was a long silence. Then he said, "You didn't get off there, did you?" I stared at him through the train window. "I'm standing right here." His face changed. He looked terrified. "Get back on the train," he whispered. Before I could ask why, a black SUV pulled up beside him. Daniel looked toward it, then quickly walked away. I ran after him, but the train doors closed behind me. The train started moving. I stood there completely confused, watching my brother disappear. That was when I noticed an envelope sitting on the seat beside me. My name was written on it. Inside was a photograph of my parents standing outside their house. On the back, someone had written 4 words. "Your brother lied to you." I felt my hands go cold. I called my mother. No answer. I called my father. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Daniel. "Please don't trust anyone until you get home." I wanted to believe there had to be some simple explanation. But then I turned the photograph over again and noticed something I hadn't seen before. There was a second person reflected in the window behind my parents. And I recognized him. It was our family lawyer. The same man who had handled my father's property documents for years. Suddenly, the conductor's warning didn't sound strange anymore. It sounded like a last chance. I got off at the next station, exactly where the conductor had told me not to get off before. He was waiting near the exit. "You saw it, didn't you?" he asked. I showed him the photograph. He stared at it for several seconds. Then he said, "Your brother gave me that envelope yesterday." My mouth went dry. "Why would Daniel give it to you?" The conductor looked away. "Because he was afraid." I couldn't understand any of it. Daniel and I had argued plenty over the years, but he had never seemed afraid of me or anyone else. The conductor finally told me Daniel had boarded the train the previous night. He had asked the conductor to watch for me and make sure I didn't go to Oak Ridge. Then Daniel had said something that I couldn't stop thinking about. He told me, the conductor said, if my brother gets off there, he may never know why they wanted him there. I immediately called Daniel again. This time, he answered. His voice was shaking. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what? I should have told you sooner." He explained that our family lawyer had convinced our parents to sign documents transferring control of the family property. But the documents contained a second clause, one that could leave me responsible for debts I had never agreed to. Daniel had discovered it by accident. Then he found something worse. Someone had been using my name on financial paperwork. I felt betrayed, angry, and honestly terrified. "Who?" I asked. Daniel went silent. Then he said, "I found the person who did it." "Who was it?" Before he could answer, another voice came through the phone. A voice I knew better than anyone. My mother. She said, "You were never supposed to find out." The call ended. For several seconds, I couldn't breathe. My own mother had just admitted there was a secret. And I suddenly realized the truth wasn't waiting at home. It was already chasing me. I reached my parents' house that evening with Daniel beside me. My mother was sitting at the kitchen table. My father stood behind her, looking exhausted. The family lawyer was there too. For years, I had trusted that man. Now he wouldn't even look me in the eye. Daniel placed the documents on the table. My mother finally broke down and admitted the truth. The lawyer had told my parents that the family business was in serious trouble. He convinced them that transferring everything temporarily was the only way to protect us. But he had been lying. He had used my identity to move money and create agreements I knew nothing about. My mother had discovered the truth weeks earlier. She had been scared to tell me because the lawyer threatened to destroy the family if she exposed him. Daniel had secretly collected copies of the paperwork and sent them to an attorney outside our town. That was why he warned me. That was why the conductor had helped him. And that was why I had been told not to get off at Oak Ridge. The police eventually investigated the lawyer, and the documents proved I had never authorized any of the transactions. But the part that hurt most wasn't the money. It was realizing that my family had looked me in the eyes every day while carrying a secret that could have destroyed my future. Months later, my mother apologized. I forgave her, but I didn't forget. That train ride taught me something I will never lose. Sometimes the person warning you may be a stranger, while the person hiding the truth may share your last name. If you were in my place, would you have forgiven your family, or walked away for good? Tell me in the comments. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Family Betrayal for more stories like this. Because sometimes, the truth doesn't arrive when you expect it. Sometimes, it arrives one station later, and changes your entire life.